The talk of the town right now is this term called inflation. I'm sure you've heard a lot about it on our show. You've read about it. Anywhere you look, what is Biden doing about this inflation? But you've also probably heard about this trucker situation happening. Started in Canada, a trucker protest, a small group of truckers, let's be very clear, but trucks are big. So it might look like it's a lot more and they might get a lot of media attention. Of course, the media loves this stuff. The media is talking about, oh no, the truckers are now coming to the US. The truckers are descending on the US. They're at the border. They're holding up shipments at the border, but they might go to the Super Bowl. They might protest the State of the Union. What are we going to do? These are truckers, of course, who are angry at the mandates, about the vaccination mandates, vaccinations that, of course, make them healthier and safer to drive. But is this really about the mandates? Is this really about, these protests? Is this really even about Biden? Of course not. The right wing has been so skillful at political jujitsu for decades. It is, they know very well that they are the party of the elite, so you don't have to be told that. And they will do whatever it takes to create division. They will do whatever it takes to tap into cultural trends, whether it's CRT, which is really about school boards, which is really about teachers' unions, which are the largest funders of the Democratic Party, largest public service employees as well. It's never about what they say it is. We know that. But this has taken a whole other level. The insurrection went too far. And if the Democrats were smart, if Biden were smart in these midterms, they would literally just associate every single Republican, anti Trump or not, with the insurrectionists because the RNC has politically endorsed the insurrectionists at this point, saying it's just political discourse. Of course it wasn't. People were murdered. It was terrorism. It wasn't a riot, it was terrorism. And if Democrats are smart, they would use this moment to remind folks that even the Republicans who may not be Trumpsters but still associate with the RNC are part of that tribe. This is the moment for that. But what are the Republicans doing? What is the far right doing? What is the Bannon movement doing? They know that that is what Democrats, if they were smart, are going to tap into. Because you even pull away the most reasonable Republicans because they don't want to be affiliated. We're talking about voters with the insurrectionists. Mitch McConnell knows that. He denounced them. He wants to keep the Senate. He wants his power. He wants to win the Senate, I should say. So what is Bannon doing? He realizes that right now there's a moment of instability, economic instability. They've done everything they can to pull a few people from this movement, pull a few people from that movement, tap into anger over here, tap into moms who are angry or just were taught to be angry about history class. They do this all over the country. They tap into different groups, 2% here, 1% there, 0.5% there, keep those folks down so that they don't vote, attack the Democratic Party for being elitists. They're attacking Joe Biden because of inflation. Finally, reporters are recognizing that, well, inflation doesn't actually have to do with everything the Republicans have said. It's not really a Biden thing, although he could do some things about it. Turns out many CEOs around this country that have churned their companies that have churned record profits, whether it's Exxon, whether it's McDonald's, whether it's Starbucks. These are companies that have shown record profits. And they are increasing the prices of their goods, not because of supply chain issues, but because they're choosing to make more money. Meanwhile, they're sticking it to their workers, which is why you're seeing people organizing in Starbucks all over the country. I think we're at 74 unions now, Starbucks locations trying to unionize, which is why you're seeing protests and strikes at John Deere, at Kellogg's, which is why you're seeing Amazon workers, of course, organize, because it just doesn't make sense. What does that have to do with the truckers? The truckers are part of the supply chain. So let's disrupt the supply chain a little bit more. Even if that's not the cause, let's just do it a little bit more. And reports are saying it might, because they're trying to create a movement of truckers who, let's remind you all, long haul truckers spend over 300 days on a road, average, a year. Right-wing radio is basically wired right into their channels. They're listening to right-wing radio. They're listening to what's happening. They're almost overwhelmingly conservative. And guess what? They're really upset about these mandates. They're upset about government But are they really? Or are they really upset about the conditions that they're working under? And this is what the Republicans are doing so well. They're channeling that economic frustration of certain groups that they know that they can mobilize because they're already tapped into Republican rhetoric. They're channeling that into attacking the Democrats, anti mandates. Oh, inflation's going up because Biden's not dealing with it, rather than CEOs are increasing the prices of their goods, or shippers are increasing the prices, or oil is increasing the prices so that it's more expensive. Or now, truckers who may not even know that they're part of this are actually disrupting the supply chain by protesting vaccination mandates. These things are interwoven. It is political jujitsu. They're using an economic moment and channeling it away from worker organizing and into anger at the government for vaccination mandates or mask mandates. Anger at Joe Biden for not dealing with the inflation that they are creating. You see how that works? Now, Joe Biden can do something about this because his economy's stupid. It's always the economy's stupid when it comes down to elections. He can do something about this. Price gouging is illegal. The laws around price gouging can be strengthened. It is something that previous presidents have been able to do unilaterally. He can do something. I know that they want the pandemic to end, partly because people just want business to go back to usual. But I think that there are some very greedy conservative CEOs in this country who, let's not forget, are donating to Republicans who love stretching out this pandemic and using supply chain as the issue so they can increase costs of goods, so they can make sure people order from their companies, so they can make more money as CEOs than ever before and keep their workers down. Of course, they love it. So Democrats do want this pandemic to end. They do want people to get their vaccines. But I also think they're reaching the point where they're fed up, which is why Kathy Hochul, I believe, removed the mask mandate. There comes a point where certain people are just never going to get the vaccine, partly because of this. So this is, as we go into the election, this is what they're doing. It is not about the supply chain. And even if it is slightly by looking at the truckers, it is about the conditions of the working class. And unless we have strong unions, which obviously people are organizing around this country and channeling that energy in the right way, the Republicans are going to try to divert as much energy away from labor and into cultural issues, into mandates, into anti-imperialist pipelines that just criticize the US government, which deserves it at times, but not other governments, which makes it about Joe Rogan being canceled rather than Joe Rogan being a pipeline for radicalization. You know, Joe Rogan had Bernie Sanders on, got Bernie Sanders' audience, some of it, which was rightfully so dissatisfied with the way government was responding to their needs. And Bernie Sanders offered solutions. But once Bernie Sanders was no longer running, people are looking for an outlet. The algorithm's already geared towards young males, and that is Joe Rogan's audience. So he has on a few leftists to talk about how bad the Democratic Party is, how bad government is, the US government is, and then simultaneously has people on like Jordan Peterson and then Alex Jones. And the next thing you know, a certain percentage of this country is being radicalized. And all you need is a few percent there, a few percent there, a few percent there to either stay home or vote Republican. And you lose Congress, you lose the Senate, and you possibly lose the presidency. And then I ask you, what comes after that?